Okay, Islam. Just in case anyone hasn't seen this, so I already got this form for the people who's filled it out and the people who recently joined, and that's just got basically everyone who's a member of the temple is supposed to have one of these. It's supposed to be sealed. You could maybe you could see that seal on there, stamped and sealed, and this is for everyone that's done the e-registration. Then I just show these forms since I went ahead and did this. The baptismal certificate is basically like a birth certificate, and then there's also the affidavit of religious reversion. But for now, just everybody needs to do the e-registration. All right. Just make sure you click that link and fill it out. It's going to ask you to take a picture of your ID and upload it on there. Then it's also going to ask you for a headshot with the white background. So preferably with your headdress on, fez or turban. And it's going to ask you for information, but that's about it. And that will get you in the system, the new system. Like I said, everything is just before everything's just been getting recorded on paper. There's one brother basically doing all of this, and that's Brother El Divine Bays, the Supreme Grand Secretary. Like he made the system, and basically he's doing it for everyone. So we're just asking that everybody goes in and does the registration, the e-registration for themselves. All right. So yeah, if you haven't done it, make sure you do it as soon as you can. And also for the passport photos, you can just download the passport app. They have these free passport apps for passport photos, and some of them will even remove the background for you. So, if you're not standing against something white, you probably still should be up against a solid color to make it easier. But, it's pretty easy now. You don't even have to go to Walmart or the post office to do that. All right. And today we're going over questions 81 through 90 in the 101 questionnaire. And we're going to go ahead and get started. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We ask that everyone rises and faces the east for the Moorish American prayer. Right, if you're able to, facing the east, holding up 2 fingers on the right, 5 on the left, heels together, 45-degree angle, and repeat after me. Allah,
Allah,
Father of the universe,
Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my salvation,
and my salvation,
by night and by day,
by night and by day,
through his holy prophet,
through his holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
through our
Amen.
Amen.
Right. I want to announce that this meeting is now open. Right. First and foremost, we always rise and give the highest praise to the creator of the universe, our Father God, Allah. We give honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality so that we may learn to love instead of hate. We also give honors to the forerunner to the prophet, our brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey, for preparing the way for purity and love. We give honors to the charter and its 10 wonders. We also give honors to the Moorish and the American flags. And we give honors to our first appointed Supreme Grand Sheikh by the Prophet, and that's our brother E. Millie Ill. We give honors to all the Adab Sheiks and all the faithful Moors that make up the grand body of the Moorish Divine and National Movement. And we also give honors to our current Supreme Grand Sheikh, Brother K. Dandridgel, and honors to the Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Honors to all the faithful Muslims on this call. Islam, Islam, Islamism. All right, I'm going to read the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Salvation, Allah, unity, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in the flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or falsely accuse his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and a partial of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder. Moorish American prayer, Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Moorish Science Temple of America, home office of Noble Drew Ali, home office, Chicago, Illinois, U.S.A. Islam. All right. And moving forward, before we discuss the Koran questionnaire, I do want to just go over a few things. Um, First, if uh, if anybody has any questions in general, feel free to speak up or unmute your mic. If anybody has anything that they want to share, likewise, just feel free to speak up. Um, okay, I see in the chat, Sister Douglas Sell said our next physical meeting will be around spring break when the weather gets better. So we'll still just be on Zoom every Friday and Sunday. And also, she said if anyone has any questions or is ready to reserve a 3-night stay, 3 to 4 night stay in Orlando in June, let us know. All right. Okay, so yeah, before we go into the questions 81 through 90, just want to talk about our free national standards, free national government. Just going over this so that we all have a clear understanding of what this means. Okay, so with the definition for free national government, that's going to be governmental direction and control of a nation to further its best interests, free of influence or hindrance by other nations. Okay, so our prophet, Noble Drew Ali, formed our free national government. And when he did this, he gave us the ability to direct and control ourselves and then to do what's best for us without interference. Right? So even being a nation within another nation, we still have a free national government. And we can link ourselves up with the other families of nations, and we can do this unhindered upon. All right. Possibly even to the point where we could enter into trade and do things that we wouldn't be able to do in our present status or in our past status as Black people, as African Americans. All right. And we've seen this occur in times in history. I speak about Katrina all the time because it's something that I witnessed, and it really rang in my ears. I was really just starting to get into this Moorish information when that happened. When was Katrina back in like 2004, 2005? Yeah, so around 2000, yeah, 2005 maybe. And you know that when I heard the president at the time, Bush, calling our people refugees on TV, it's like, wow, this is real. This is real. And turning down the aid for our people who are suffering in Louisiana. Other countries are offering aid because for some reason, the richest nation in the world can't do it for their own people. Wow. So yeah, August 2005. And I was in Tennessee. A whole lot of people from Louisiana, because they were shipping us all over to different places, Texas and Alabama and all these different places. People from Louisiana that's getting displaced, and they're sending people into Memphis. And so I'm talking to people who are witnessing terrible things happen, literally seeing. I'm not even going to speak on some of the horrible things that they're seeing because, you know, it's not a joke. And so our people suffering, the government, for whatever reasons, not giving them what they need. Other nations are offering aid, and the president spoke for us and he turned it down. Right? So obviously they weren't looking out for our best interests. And there's other things that went on too that not really going to get into, but just terrible things that occurred. And you know, we didn't have a free national government. We didn't have the ability to look out for our best interests. And then when you try to, somebody like the overseer can come over and say, oh no, you can't have that. You can't do it. Islam. So yeah, they were sending people all the way up to Illinois. So it's pretty obvious why we need a free national government so that we can govern Moorish Americans and regulate our affairs. And that's why it's important to have our own system, our not only laws, but our own structure, our own chain of command, and we need to respect it and respect the offices. Even if it's not easy, is because it's not easy for any people that gather together to govern themselves, right? So this gives us the ability to govern ourselves locally and to represent ourselves in international affairs. And then we can use our free national government to inform other Moorish Americans, not only of who they are, but that they have to adhere to our laws that our prophet gave us, right? And our divine constitution and bylaws, our additional laws. And then we can let them know how this benefits them by coming into the fold, by becoming civilized, right? If anybody's seen some of the YouTubes like that, I put out a YouTube talking about the Savage program, and I don't know like if that turns people off, because if you're above that information and you don't really need to hear that message, I get it. If you watch it and you just turn it off, like I don't need to hear this, I understand. But one of the reasons why I made that is because a lot of our people don't even realize how lost we are, right? We don't even realize how not having these laws, not having this system of things that we abide by, regardless of whether or not anyone's looking, how we conduct ourselves, right? How not having this and following after the ways of the European or Western civilization, whatever you want to call it, how it's leading to our destruction. And then you can see that's why in the divine warning, the prophet says that he traveled through the South and he saw what our people were going through, right? He came from the South, so he really knew it. He came from North Carolina. That's where he was born. So he knew it. But he says he traveled through the South and he saw that it was our people suffering for their own actions, their own doing, right? Following after the European or Western civilization. That's the way you could say it, with removing the whole ethnicity and everything from it. Just Western civilization. Everybody knows what that means. All right. So, we can let people know how doing this is not working for you. We're out here saying Black Lives Matters, and it's not stopping anything, right? It's not getting any laws made, nothing, right? So we're moving as a unit, and we use our free national government to assure people, right, our people that are in compliance with the constitutional standard of law, that they can, so that they can properly identify themselves, right? We have to control the narrative of who we are. Someone else has created the black person, and then the black is still Negro. It's still the same thing. It's just times have changed and they can't even use that word anymore. So same thing. We have to define ourselves. And then we use our free national government to teach Moorish Americans that they're part and partial of this said government. So not only like for the United States of America or the Republic or whatever people want to call it, but also of our own government. All right. And then for us to be able to say this with freedom, we're able to do this unhindered upon. Why? Because of how the prophet set this up and established it. We have the freedom to come into our own government, relink ourselves with the family of nations. And nobody can come against that. But as long as we stand on these principles, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we understand that we've been tricked, that we've suffered, we've gone through war and different things that have left us displaced. And now we are coming back into the fold, coming back into our own and unifying as a nation by reconnecting with our ancient Moorish lineage. And so it's something new. The prophet was the first Moorish American. And we can do that unhindered upon, as long as we're doing it properly, coming into this, right? So we use our free national government to confirm also our religious privileges. We have religious freedom as citizens of the U.S.A. All right. And then we use our free national government to confirm our status as free national beings. And it's really important. Um, it's so easy to overlook because our a lot of our people, they don't even see this. And maybe they won't see it until they see us being successful. So also having a free national standard. And the free national standard is something established by the use of authority for a nation to further its best interest, and it's not subject to the influence, control, change, or domination of another nation. So that's going back to the free national government. It's really important to be able to look out for our own interests, unhindered upon by others. There's so many people that have actually been able to come in and take part in the American dream by preying off of our community. And when I say preying upon, that's literally what it is. Um, I'm not even going to name all these different ethnic groups, but they've come from Europe, they've come from Asia, they've come from the Middle East, all of these different places, and they've come and set up businesses in our communities selling stuff to us, and they don't put anything back in the community. They send it to their community, wherever they're at. Why? Because they're looking out for their best interests. Why? Because they have free national standards. They know not to sit up and build up their community where we're at, even though they're making money off of us. They know to send it back to where their people are living, or whatever little communities they're building in America, to put the money there. Okay. And a lot of people are doing it still to this day. And they can do that when you don't have free national standard, right? We could cut off their water supply just by taking care of ourselves. And that don't mean they're going to fall. We're not worried about them falling or anything. It's just they're going to have to do something else, right? Because we can do all of the things everyone else is doing and selling us. We can do it ourselves. All right. And so we have to have that. We have to have the ability to look out for ourselves unhindered upon, without anyone else being able to come in and influence it. Nobody else can come in and tell us, oh, it's wrong for you to do that. Or no, because we have our own standards. We have our own Quran. We have our own prophet who came to us. Even from a standpoint of Islam, when you look at the world picture, right? A greater Islam, or whatever you want to call it. When you look at the world picture of Islam, you'll see that the majority of Muslims, not all Muslims, but like several 100 million Muslims, would have a problem with us saying that we have a prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And most of them would be saying this out of ignorance. They don't really understand what's actually in the Quran about this, right? And then some of them are spreading deception, literally. Okay. And when I say hundreds of millions, even all Muslims don't agree on this. You have the Ahmadiyas, who had their own prophet who came to them in India, right? And when you actually look in the Quran, you see that it tells you in 3 different places, for every people we send a messenger speaking their own language. And that's in 14:4. Actually, everybody should take notes just on this one thing that I'm about to say. Just jot these 3 numbers down. 1636. That's chapter 16, verse 36. And then, so chapter 16, verse 36. These are 3 places in the Quran that we should all just know. Even if you don't have the verse memorized, that's okay. Just have these 3 chapters, all right, in your notes somewhere. Write it down. 1636, and then chapter 14, verse 4, and then chapter 10, verse 47. Okay, so just like for real, make sure you write these 3 things down. I'm going to say it again. Chapter 16, verse 36, chapter 14, verse 4, and then chapter 10, verse 47. All right, so the reason why it's important for us to have those 3 verses down and to know that is because 3 times in the Quran it says that Allah sends a messenger to every nation.
Mm-hmm.
Every nation. So it can't be in there 3 times and just have no meaning. It's in there 3 times because it's giving you the criteria for a prophet, and not just a prophet, but a messenger. There's from an Islamic point of view, you have a Nabi and a Rasul. A Nabi is a prophet who's prophesizing. They're bringing the warning from Allah of what's coming to try to get the people in alignment. And then that's the Nabi. And then the Rasul is the messenger. Okay, so just remember that. A messenger is the high-ranking prophet. They're not just bringing that message and that warning. They're also bringing a law. Like more than likely, they're bringing a book like the Quran or even our Holy Quran or the Moorish Science Temple of America. Okay, and it doesn't even matter if the prophet is preparing this, he's pulling messages from the Akashic records, or if he's pulling it from different books and then he's adding some other things to it. Doesn't matter, because they'll tell you, we're told that the Quran was recited to the Prophet Muhammad from the angel Gabriel. The angel Gabriel was a human, right? And that he just committed it to memory. Okay. With the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, allegedly he also had this in memory and he just recited it to whoever was typing it out so that they could print it out and publish it. And so I just say that to say that those 3 verses are important because it's not in the Quran 3 times for no reason at all. It's giving you the criteria for a prophet. So from an Islamic point of view, an Islamic belief would be that every nation was sent a messenger for their guidance. Okay, so we can stand on what we have. What we have is strong. We can stand on it. Some Muslims will even try to give you that, say, well, yeah, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, okay, you can have that. He's a Nabi. No, he's a Rasul. He's a messenger. Okay, he came from amongst us speaking our language. He delivered the book to us. He brought us back in alignment with the law. He gave us the laws. He's a Rasul. He's a messenger. And just to go into this a little bit, in chapter 16, verse 36, it says, for we assuredly sent amongst every people a messenger with the command, serve Allah and eschew evil. Of the people were some whom Allah guided and some on whom error became inevitably established. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but that's for assuredly we sent amongst every people a messenger. And that's 1636. In 1047, it says, and for every ummah, and the ummah is the community or the people. So for every people, every nation, there is a messenger. When their messenger comes, the matter will be judged between them with justice and they will not be wronged. And then in 14:4, same message. We sent not a messenger except to teach in the language of his own people in order to make things clear to them. Okay, so that's clear and present. And that's the criteria. The messenger, the Rasul, the prophet, he must come from amongst the people and speak in their language. That's the criteria. All right. And so the prophet established that. And then another thing too, from an Islamic point of view or from a Christian point of view, even a Jewish point of view, they all think that the Messiah is to come in the future. Right. So they think this, but they don't even realize that a prophet came to us. And of course not, right? We're the derelicts. We're the undesirables. And who else would Allah send a prophet to but those who were downtrodden, the undesirables, right? It's all obvious and clear. It's clear and present to us. We get it. And of course, those, who are in our situation may overlook it, right? But we're not worried about customs of man, right? Allah doesn't make mistakes. And so I did just want everybody to just jot those down so that you know that. And you can go and look those up on your time. Those are surah and ayat numbers. That's the chapter and verse number. And it's in there. Okay. And just sharing that because we have our own standards. and we can stand on it with authority and with confidence, right? I'm not gonna go if I'm in a mosque or with meeting with other Muslims. I'm not gonna go hide in a corner and hope they don't see me with my fez. Don't tell them I'm a sheik. Don't tell them any of that. No, we're gonna stand up and be proud. And maybe they won't want to have any conversations with us if we get to talking about this, because they might not want to have this revealed. I don't know, but I'm not going to hide anywhere because we can stand on this. All right. And so it's important to have these standards. All right. And the prophet gave us everything that we need, everything that we needed then and now. Right. Because we're not to hold him up and worship him. He gave us the tools that we need so that we could do it. And, and, you know, people could say maybe he was a little ahead of his time. He was right on time. Maybe our people needed to incubate to get to the point that we're at now. All right. And so we're blessed. We have our own customs, culture, our own religion, our own prophet. And now we have, you know, the same thing that everyone else has, or to make us the equal of all the other nations. Right. We have what we need or what we were missing. And so we can regain our lost estate and heritage. And then our lost estate, well, what is our lost estate? Go to chapter 47. Somebody read, please, chapter 47, just real quick, verses 7 through 8. Please, can we get one of the sisters, if you have the Quran, to read verses just 7 and 8 in chapter 47. In chapter 47, just verses 7 and 8. So I could pull it up on the screen actually, if you need to see it.
Islam. First and foremost, I like to rise and give praise to Allah, honor to His Prophet, honor to all you Moors in attendance. Chapter 40, 47, verse, did you say verse 6 and 8 or 7 and 8?
You can read 6 through 8.
Islam. In the later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in and inhabit Northwest Africa. They are the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. That right there is heavy. With their Canaanite, Hittite, Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Verse 7, their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands. Before the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean, the river Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Also, the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt in those ancient days for trade, and it extends eastward from the Nile River, westwards across the great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation. Islam.
All right, Islam. So just in that the first verse, they were and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. Okay, so we are who our ancestors were. And this is important. That's why I'm saying this is why we study, so that we can stand on who we are. All right. I'm not saying everybody has to get out here publicly speaking or anything. Just saying we don't have to hide. We can stand on who we are. All right. On our Holy Quran with chapters 45 through 48, the last chapters, It's giving us our hidden record, our ancient and divine records of who we are. This is what's hidden. This is why our symbols are everywhere. This is why the dollar has this 13-step pyramid with the Eye of Providence in it, and why this pyramid is found over here in Ecuador as well, with the ancient script on it that's been found all over the world, signifying that there was a worldwide language. Our records connect us to this, and we can stand on it. Their dominion and habitation extended from Northeast and Southwest Africa. We're not trying to knock Africa or say we're not African. No, we're not saying that. We're just saying something that most people aren't ready to accept, but they will, because the information is being revealed even without us doing it. Allah's revealing it. So the truth is coming out. We're saying that all of this was Africa at one point because it was all connected. So the dominions extended from Northeast and Southwest Africa across the Great Atlantis, even into the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake, which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean. So we've been over here even predating the creation of the Atlantic Ocean. And then North, South, Central America, that's the entire Americas, the Atlantis Islands. So all of this, Jamaica, all of the Caribbean, all of that, that's our dominion, okay? And as long as we stand on who we are, this is ours, all of it. And it's just on us. And then what we have is the great unifier, because that means that all of these people, all of the indigenous people, the people from Jamaica, for the most part, they're Arawak and Taino Indians, even though they some of them don't know that. Or they're just like us. Maybe they just have stories of having a granddad or grandmother who was part Indian. They're not realizing that it's because people that look like us were living over here. But we're bringing it back. We're bringing the connection back. And this is the great unifier, because eventually all of these people are of Moorish descent. And we can all unify behind that. And nothing can stop that from happening. Nothing on earth. So all we have to do is be who we are and stand on who we are. Just right here in Ohio, building our community up, moving as Moorish Americans, and eventually, we can unify with our other brothers and sisters in different cities, and eventually even in other nations, other countries as well. And we can all unify behind this banner. So this is powerful, and it can't be stopped. And eventually we will regain our lost estate and heritage, not only from a spiritual perspective, because spiritually, okay, we will overcome this and regain our lost estate and heritage, but also physically. All of this is ours. These divine records were being brought back to us by a prophet. They weren't teaching us in school. They don't teach this in school. They know this is true, and they specifically dumb down mainstream history so that this isn't even allowed to get funding. If anyone's doing excavations or writing books, if they want to write about this, they're going to be shunned in the world of academia, right? The universities and everything. They're looking down on them, looking at them like they're not legitimate. Okay, but it's true, and it's hidden in the Smithsonian and some of these other places in the basements, but they know it's true. Okay, but when we stand on who we are, nobody can tell us anything. All right, so we have to return, of course, the church and Christianity back to the European and be who we are in order to regain our lost estate and heritage. Any reparations, anything that they do, because from a karmic level, I guess you could say they have to do something. Eventually something's going to happen, but it's not going to really be for our benefit. If we are not being who we truly are and moving as independent people with a free national standard that can look out for ourselves, whatever they give, it's going to be something that they give into their slaves. All right. So we have to have those free national standards. And that enables us to take our place among the families of nations. We know who we are now, and we can stand on that. We're not asking anyone to accept us. We're not asking anyone to authenticate who we are. No, we know who we are. We know our history. We know our divine history and heritage and all that. And now we can have unity amongst ourselves, and then we can return to the state of mind of our forefathers' divine and national principles. And then we can use our free national standards to achieve our divine salvation. All right. So we need our free national standards to develop our future guiders of the nation. And then the way that we use them, we can use it to maintain our national government. Right. So that we obviously we can't just copy paste what the Europeans are doing. It's not good enough. It's tearing up everything. It's leading to destruction. Why? Because it's almost like a physical representation of the lower self. It's just traveling the earth seeking whom it may devour. We don't want to do that. We can't. That's unsustainable. So we have to return to our free national standards. And then we can use this to uplift ourselves and then support our quest for economic power. And also to set an example for our children and other people as well, because even in our lower state, we are still influential, extremely influential. If there's any negative agenda that's being pushed in the world, all you have to do is get the American Negro to push it. And we'll have everybody in the world doing low level things. Right? So we can set an example for our own children and also for other people, and then use our free national standards to communicate the truth to all the unconscious Moors out there. Islam. That's all I wanted to say on that. If there's any questions or anybody else wanted to share any insight, feel free to speak.
Islam, I just want to add that is very powerful and it is important because the demonstration that you just presented is it helps us to understand the link to our ancient forefathers and to our lands, that we came from. And that's extremely important because during the time of slavery, this was stripped from us. And that's how come we're in the state that we're in, because when you don't have that link to who you are and to where you came from, you are then labeled and classified. You're a creation. And that's where the Negro, the colored person, the Black person, the African American, this is where this comes from, Islam. And when we get to the keys, that is exactly why the prophet asked in key 89, what does Ethiopian mean? Because Ethiopian means something divided. So we were divided, Islam. And when we were separated in that nature, I mean, it's a spiritual division and also a physical division, because when we were divided and conquered, they got to tell us who we were. And when we go back to the Bible and Adam was to name all the creatures on the land, that gave him dominion over them, that gave him power over them. So that's the same thing that happened to us, Islam. And on a spiritual level, we have two selves, our higher self and our lower self. And that was also a great division. So we have to overcome, as above, also below. So it's a spiritual as well as a physical that we have to understand and overcome. Islam?
Islam. All right, thank you, sister. Brother Lawsonell, would you please read the questionnaires 81 through 90?
Islam Moors, giving highest praise to the Most High Allah, giving highest praise to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, all the Moors on the call, the Grand Body, and the Supreme Grand Sheikh, Islam. 81. What is the name of the person unto whom Jesus was first reincarnated? Prophet Muhammad the Conqueror. 82. Was Satan to when was Satan to be bound? Satan to be bound in part. 83. When was the head of Satan taken off? 1453. Byzantine, which is Rome. 84. By whom? By Muhammad. 85. Name some of the marks that were put upon the Moors of the Northwest by the European nations in 1774. Negro, black, colored, and Ethiopia. 86. Negro, a name given to a river in West Africa by Moors because it contained black water. It's located in South America. 87. What is meant by the word black? Black, according to science, means death. 88. What does the word colored mean? Colored, stained, varnished, or dyed. 89. What does Ethiopia mean? As the sister mentioned, Ethiopia means something divided. The land was divided. 90. Can a man be a Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian? No. Islam, Islamism.
All right, Islamism. Thank you, brother. If anybody has anything that they want to demonstrate or add about any of those questions, feel free to speak now. I'll just speak on a few of those. All right, but yeah, in question 83 or 82 and 83, when was Satan to be bound? Then Satan was to be bound in part. When was the head of Satan taken off? 1453, and the name in parentheses is Byzantine. And as Brother Lawson said, that's Rome, um, which is comparable to modern day Rome, right? With Western civilization, with the rule that we're under. This is a continuation of that. All right. And so it was bound in part at this time. And then the head of Satan was taken off in 1453 by the conqueror Muhammad, Islam. So we're in a similar situation now. All right. And when we look at things in history, look at what was going on in that time, you had the Ottoman Turks that actually that defeated the Roman Empire in Constantinople around that time, 1453. All right, so we're given these things to see that this is when the spread of Christianity through the Roman empires was I guess you could say it wasn't taken down completely, but where it was hamstrung, like it was growing rapidly, right? And so they got stuck for a period of time. If you look at what was going on also in this period in 1453, you had Moorish rule in Europe that was starting to fall, right? The Moors had ruled nearly 800 years and their reign was falling during this time. If we look at history from 1453 on up to the present, everything that we're taught, we're only given bits and pieces of what actually occurred. In the 1500s, the European nations, for the most part, were struggling. They were struggling. They were fighting to expand, and they were paying tribute to most of the Moorish powers, the different Moorish rulers, sultans, the different beys or governors. They were paying tribute to several different Moorish powers so that they could travel, so that they could trade, and they weren't just able to freely move around. So they actually haven't been ruling as long as most of us would think, right? We're given a warped view of history, and that's left out. So we're taught for the most part, we're taught from the perspective of us and our downfall. And that's just put upon us as if that's all we ever were. That also leads into question 85, where it's saying name some of the marks that were put upon the Moors of Northwest, which is specifically speaking about us in the Northwest Gate, Northwest of Mexico, by the European nations in 1774, and then we're given Negro, colored, and black, and Ethiopian. And that was 1 year before the American Revolution. It started in 1775, and 2 years before they officially declared their independence in 1776. Okay, and this is letting you know that before all of that occurred, before they declared their independence, they already had plans of denationalizing the indigenous Americans, the true Americans. Right? They already had plans of denationalizing them. Matter of fact, that was a portion or a big part of how they were able to do what they accomplished when they achieved their independence. Islam, brother Kobe said the Moors got it spelled from Europe, 1651. Islam, yeah, with the Inquisition. I know the Inquisition started in Spain in the late 1400s, and it was going on off and on for a while. So I can't confirm that date for you, but that sounds about right. And that's a big part of history that's left out, right? But looking at America, 1774 is when they put the marks on us, and when you mark something, right, in the criminal world, a mark is somebody who's going to get taken advantage of. A mark is somebody that you guys are going to kill, or that they're going to be the sucker. That's somebody who's going to get taken advantage of, who's going to get robbed, who might get, you guys might just dump everything on them so that they can get sent to prison. That's what a mark is. A mark is a victim. So those words, name some of the marks that were put on the Moors. And this is what they did to us. They created the Negro 1774, and they started it at slavery. They specifically started off in its downfall at slavery. And that's all you have. You were nothing before that. Right? So they put these marks on you, and it doesn't matter how it evolved. It doesn't matter. It's still a mark. It's not coming from us. We didn't define it. Someone else defined it. Right? So a mark is a victim. And they marked this, and that's also why as Negroes, as African Americans, niggas, people act like that's different, that we're perpetual victims, perpetually victims. Okay, I see that brother Kobe has his hand up. Did Islam, brother?
Islam, I rise to give honor to our great God Allah, rise to give honor to the Prophet, Noble Ali. I just want to camel back on that, on just the time frames, on like even 1774. If we key look at 1774 to 1790, when they were putting those codes, black, Negro, black, colored, and Ethiopian from 85. If you look at how anything in time goes, it takes a little bit of time for them to make it so. So from 1774 to 1790, it's real easy if I put this code on you and say, oh, that doesn't mean anything. And that's how they do things even now. And I can kind of see that probably how it was back then with our ancestors. And then it goes up to 1866 when they don't even tell us about, they had like a civil rights. I was like researching that. It was like a civil rights thing. Like the civil rights thing came out then. And then in 1870, it was a Silver Act rights. And that was the Silver Act rights was the Moors. And that was when Ulysses Grant was the president. And during that time, they got, I guess, super upset because I guess it waved up and down from 1774 to 1790. We got deemed that, and it was like it was really going down. And then when it came up to that aspect, it waved up. And I was looking at that time frame. It's like right before the prophet was born. And then when the prophet got born, he tried to keep it going on. And if you really look at those time frames, 1774, look at 1790, look at 1866, look at 1870, and look at when it comes to like as far as politics and what was going on for us, it waved up and down, and then the prophet came to try to get us back into our proper fold. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam definitely on point, brother. Appreciate you. And I'm glad you said that word code, because when they put those marks on us, that's what it was. It was a code. Because when you mark something, right, you're tagging it. You're putting a check on it or a mark so that everyone else knows who it is. So it set us aside so that no matter who we are, where we try to go in the world, what we try to do, we're set aside. Like we're different. We're undesirables because we have that mark on us. Right? You black, right? Oh, you black. It's like it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're set aside. You're not like everyone else. Everyone else has an origin, a nation, and like this, what you see on the screen. Every race has a flag, but the coon. Okay, this was a popular song from 1900. It's an actual song. Every race has a flag, but the coon. Okay, and I mean, we would just look at it and say, "Oh, that's racist." Some Europeans made a song. Why were they making songs about us? First off, okay, but every race has a song, but the okay. Oh, actually, written by an Asiatic man. And okay, every race has a flag, but the coon. This was put out in the early 1900s, written in 1896. The popular song, it was put out by A.M. Rothschild, the Rothschilds in 1901. It was one of the greatest hits in April, a year later. Every race has a flag but the coon. All right, so we were marked. And Marcus Garvey actually spoke on this, right? This song motivated the creation of the Pan-African flag, the red, black, and green, in 1920 by the members of the United Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League. That's Marcus Garvey's organization. In 1927, report of a 1921 speech appearing in the Negro World newspaper. This was Marcus Garvey's newspaper. He was quoted as saying, "Show me the race or the nation without a flag, and I will show you a race of people without any pride. A, in song and mimicry, they have said every race has a flag but the coon." How true. A, but that was said of us 4 years ago. They can't say it now. Right. So that led to the creation of the Pan-African flag. Right. It motivated Marcus Garvey, who's the forerunner, of course, to the prophet, to get us thinking in nationality. He actually helped prepare the way because a lot of the members from his UNIA association wound up joining the Moorish Science Temple of America. And they were ready for this message because of the work that our brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey had put in. Okay. But, you know, just with that song, right? Every race has a flag but the coon. We were marked. Whatever these nicknames are that they put on us, they were marks. They made us undesirables, and it let everyone know that we were undesirables. Okay? It let everyone across the world know, like, they're here to get taken advantage of. And that's why to this day, people will come into our communities and suck our blood, come and take from us to build up theirs, right? Because they don't have free national standards. Okay? you can come and take from them. They're victims. So that's serious. And then further distancing ourselves from this, you have the question 86, Negro, and a name given to a river in West Africa by Moors because it contains black water. So on a surface level, the Negro was given to a river in West Africa because they had black water. It's not a people, right? But then also, we know, as Brother Lawsonell said, that Rio Negro is a real river in South America. and it's called Rio Negro. Rio means river. It's called Rio Negro because it has black water. Plain and simple. Even to the point it's a tributary of the Amazon, where the waters from the Amazon don't mix with the waters from Rio Negro. And you can see the black water and the brown water on one side where they come together, right? And so this is also letting us know that South America was at one point West Africa. We're connected to this, right? The prophet let us know. Excuse me. You have the Amazon in South America, and you actually have the the River Negro, Rio Negro there. You actually have it in this area, right? And it's actually called that because it has black water to this day, and it's obvious, like it's distinguishable. So that's pretty powerful. Going on now to the next question. What is meant by the word black? Black, according to science, means death. What science? Right? And what science does black mean death? If I'm looking at this from an ancient Egyptian mindset or perspective, I know that the Lord of the perfect black is also the Lord of the underworld, and that's Osiris. So I'm looking at that from an ancient Egyptian mindset or adept perspective. Black would mean death. It's associated with death. And it's not negative or anything like that, but to call yourself that as a people, you would be putting yourself in this category for no reason, without even understanding anything. Then if you look at all the way that it's been defined in all of the dictionaries, being devoid of light, we're spoken of as having no light, or almost having the light removed, or the capacity to see the light being removed from our mind. This is how we're spoken of by lawmakers, speaking about our people as a whole, right? So obviously that's not a mark that we want on us. And with them putting that term black on you, is like a spell, right? When you're spelling, you're casting spells. And so they literally put a spell on us. It means it's devoid of light. They're speaking about us, how they can prevent us from even having the capacity to see the light, to perceive of it, right? And they're putting a spell on us, and we're keeping it going. Many of us are keeping it going to this day, not even realizing that we're also marked from the perspective of other people in the world. They know that you are an undesirable. It doesn't matter how beautiful we try to make it. Doesn't matter how cool we try to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Islam. Yeah, so there's plenty of people who try to emulate us and want to dress like us and talk like us, but they don't really want to be us because we're undesirables as Black people, right? Moving forward, as the sister said, Ethiopia actually means something divided. So this is also divine wisdom being returned to us. Islam. So yeah, one of the ancient names for Ethiopia is Abyssinia, right? I believe the Atlantic Ocean used to be called the Ethiopian Mar. Mar is another name for sea, so it wasn't always called the Atlantic, and that would make sense because it's dividing two halves of the world from each other. But this is ancient wisdom being returned to our people. What does colored mean? Colored means anything that's been painted, stained, varnished, or dyed. Obviously, nothing that you want to have anything to do with. Can a man be a Negro, Black, or colored? No. Just reinforced. No matter what anyone's saying, and Black and proud, whatever. Black is beautiful. Yeah, I get what you're trying to say, but no. Because as long as you go along with that, you are marking yourself. All right, they're demeaning. It means you're undesirable. Lack, according to science, means death. We're literally like the black community is a carcass that everyone feeds off of. That's how come when they actually make money off of killing some of our people, right? Some people make money off of that, literally, and they play off of it. They make TV shows about us getting killed. They just put out this new American Skin film where a lot of people that are going to see it thinking that you're going to see some black men rising up and getting back at the power structure for police brutality. You're gonna be disappointed. I'm not gonna ruin the movie for you though, but it's because it's a more black death where they're selling black suffering, black death, blacks losing, being victims. Right? Like I'm saying, I'm not gonna ruin the movie for you and tell you why, but it's some more of that stuff. And the guy who starred in it, Nate Parker, he played Nat Turner. I hated that Nat Turner movie that he was in because it was the same thing, more black death, black suffering. The majority of the movie was slaves being abused, raped, murdered, and and then of course they top it off with killing him and everyone else that's trying to um, fight back. So black suffering, black death, it sells. All right, because the black community is basically a carcass. And everyone's feeding off of it like necrophiliac. So we want nothing to do with that. We want nothing to do with that. Moors are alive. Moors also aren't victims. Some people will even try to flip it on us and say, "Well, the Moors were enslaving people," and it's like, yeah, we were. It's nothing to be proud of, but Europeans were getting sold into slavery. They were all of the European powers, even the colonists over here, were paying tribute to get some of their fellow Europeans out of enslavement. Okay, so we're not victims, and not saying that like it's something to be proud of. It's just the truth. We're not victims, and there's no power in wearing that badge. Islam. I think that Brother Kobe, did you have something to say?
Oh, Islam. I didn't have anything to say. I had just put something in just on the chat. I was just coming back in on you earlier.
All right, Islam, brother. So, Islam, I will go ahead and end on that note. If anybody has any questions or any announcements, anything that they want to share, feel free to speak up before we close. All right. Do just want to remind everybody, make sure you go to the link and do the e-registration if you haven't already. And then for everyone that has, I have that paper that I was showing for everyone, all the members. For some of you also have a nationality card too. So we'll get that out to everybody either at our next meeting or we'll just send it to you in the mail. Islam. And that's it. I want to announce without further ado, we're going to go into the closing of the meeting. Islam, brother Kobe, would you please read the writs of the Prophet?
Islam. Arise, give honors to our great God Allah. Rise, give honors to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Rise and give honors to our forerunner Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Rise, give honors to all Muslims in attendance and all Muslims on the planet. To be proclaimed at every meeting, Islam. I am glad to know I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claimed that I was a joke and unreal. But now, since they found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds The ones that pay their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That's why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I may shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being hid. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical speeches while in work, in their homes, and on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali, and the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans. They do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace, Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This instruction is from your prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefather divine and national creed that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now. But the weak can comprehend it not. The end of times are drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. And that is why many hearts are turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they'll be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islamism.
Gratitude, brother. Gratitude. All right. Brother Seymour Bay, would you please read the divine warning?
Islam, Sheikh.
Islam.
First I rise and give praise to the Most High, Father God Allah. I give honors to his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and to the forerunner to the prophet, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Give honors to all you faithful Muslims on the call. A divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to the national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to that state of mind, to their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens, according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish Divine National Movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Money doesn't make the man. It is the free national standards and power that makes a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone, and without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I'm hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. I'm depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. I love my people and I desire their unity and mine back to their own free national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issues and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro deludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word colored deludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizen of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendments brought the North and the South in unit, placing the Southerners, who were at that time without power, with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was enforced since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. So there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come, because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people, and this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do herein believe that this administration of the government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in the present condition of their endeavorment, which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they have fought the Southerner for all these great misuses. But I have traveled in the South, and I have examined the conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I'm hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into marvelous light. From the Prophet, Islam, Islam, Islamism.
Islamism, gratitude, brother. Thank you for reading that. Right, additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Act 1. Grand sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. He said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Before acting upon by any members, let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finances, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under a heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend their ADUP meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3, it is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation, and if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4, all members, while up making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5, all members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Act 6, with us all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother, and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father God Allah, Islam, Islam, Islamism. All right, all meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Everyone, please rise for the closing prayer. And once again, you do not need to repeat after me. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name, in the 7 Elohim. Amen.
Amen.
Islam. All right, this meeting is now adjourned. Peace and love, Morris.
Peace and love.
Islam, peace and love, Morris.
Peace and love, Islam.
Islam, peace and love.